in this video at frequency tables and histograms. We'll start off by looking at an example of a histogram. This histogram here is a histogram that shows the distribution of the weight of a number of bags checked at the airport. So if I look at the histogram, I can see that one bag, this axis here is frequency. It tells me how many things are in this category. So one bag had a weight between 5 and 10 kilos. If I go to the category between 10 and 15 kilos, I can see that 3 bags fell between 10 and 15 kilos. So 3 bags were in that category. Between 15 and 20 kilos, there were 4 bags. 20 to 25 kilos, there was another 4 bags. And bags that weighed between 25 and 30 kilos, there were 2 that fell into that category. So that's how you read a histogram. So we'll answer these questions one by one just to get an idea. How many bags had a weight in the range 10 to 15 kilos? Well, there's that range. 10 to 15. And the bar goes up to 3, so there were 3 bags in that category. How many bags were checked in total? Well, you can tell that by seeing there's 1 bag in that category. There's 3 bags in that category, so 1 and 3 is 4. There's another 4 bags in that category. 4 plus 4 is 8. Another 4 here, so that makes 12, and 2 over there, so 14 bags in total. Is it possible to determine the exact mean, median, or mode of the weight of the bags by looking at the histogram? Well, not really, not the exact, because we have no idea what the weights of each bag is within these categories. So in here, for example, the one bag that's between 5 and 10, it could have been 6 kilos, could have been 7 kilos, 8 kilos, 9 kilos. So we don't really have any way of finding an exact mean or an exact median or mode. Let's leave that there and we'll go on to have a look at a frequency table. So frequency tables and histograms go together. So here is a frequency table and here is the frequency histogram that goes with this table. This table is a measure of some data. I went to an old people's club and I asked all the people at the club their ages. So let's say there were 25 people at the club. 25 people at the club. 3 of them were between 60 and 65. 60 and 64 really, because 65 starts the next category. So 3 of them were in that age category. 4 of them were from 65 to 69. 6 were from 70 to 74. 8 were from 75 to 79. And 4 of the people at that club were between 80 and 85 years old. So that's basically what a frequency table looks like, and that's what we use it for, is to have a look at groupings. So we classify the variable that we're interested in this case age, into different groups, and we see how many of our people are within the different groups. This percentage frequency column here is simply the percentage generated from the frequency. So if I take 3 over 25 and turn that into a percentage, it will be 12%. And I'm assuming that you all know how to do that. Let's have a look. We'll get our calculator out. 3 divided by 25 times 100 to turn it into a percentage. 25 times 100. 12. So 12 is what goes in this percentage frequency cell here. What about 4? 4 is a fraction of 25 times 100. 4 divided by 25 times 100. Oh, not 1,000. 4 divided by 25 times 100. 16. So you can see that these are all percentages based on this column here. So have a note, your percentages, once you've worked them out, should add up to 100, and the total of your frequency column should be the number of bits of information that you have. In this case, 25 old people were asked how old they were. Let's have a look at the frequency histogram now. Notice that we've got this little gap here between the 0 and the 60. That's just to show that we're not going from 0, we're going from 60 years of age, because our youngest person is in the 60 to 65 category. So looking at this, I've got 3 people in the 60 to 65 category. Yes. I've got 4 people in the 65 to 70 category. I've got 6 people in the 70 to 75 category, and so on. I could also make a frequency histogram based on the percentages. So if you have a look at this one here, these columns are the percentage heights. So from 60 to 65 is 12%. From 65 to 70 is 16%. Okay, another thing that we often do with a histogram is we'll make a comment about whether our data is skewed or symmetrical. And you remember from our discussion of stem and leaf plots that symmetrical distribution usually looks like that, and a skewed distribution will either look like that or like that. I think we've got a skewed distribution here, and it's because there's far more people in the top end. Okay, in class I got you to write these points here down. If you want to pause the video and write those down, that will be helpful to you, but we're going to move on to an example. Here is some data that's been collected from 50 hours of selling hamburgers at a 24-hour fast food store. So, in other words, during one of the hours, only 1 hamburger was sold. During a different hour, 10 hamburgers were sold. During another hour, 18 hamburgers were sold, and so on. So we're going to use that data over those 50 hours to create a frequency table and to create a frequency histogram. So let's start, first of all, the interval or the classification or the group that I'm going to use have been given to me. My first group is 0 to less than 5, then 5 to less than 10, etc. So I'll just write those up. 0 to, well, since they're all whole numbers, we'll say 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 25, and I think that's as far as we have to go. Okay, now comes the boring part. I just have to count the number of times a number between 0 and 4 inclusive occurs. So 1, 2, 3. There's 3 hours in which less than 4 hamburgers, 4 or less hamburgers were sold. Let's have a look at 5 to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 hours in that category, 10 to 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I missed an 8. I'll come back to that. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I missed this 8 here, so I think that has to go up to 7. 15 to 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, this is boring. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I did notice that I missed an 11 here, so let's get that up to 15. And what's left? 20 to 25 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's have a look. When I add these up, they should equal the 50 hours. So 3 and 7 is 10, 25, 35, 44, and 6 is 50. Okay, lovely. So 3, 7, 15, 19, and 6. Let's work out our percentages. 3 divided by 50 times 100 equals 6%. 7 divided by 50 times 100 is 14%. Sorry, I used it by 1,000. In fact, they're just doubling, aren't they? Because it's out of 50. So that'll be 30%, and that'll be 38%, and 12%. I always do a check just to make sure I've got them right. 6 plus 14 plus 30 plus 38 plus 12 should equal 100. Lovely. Okay, so now we've got our frequency table. Let's have a go at our frequency distribution. Up here is the frequency. It's not the percentage frequency, so I need to look at this column here. And here's our classification. So we've got one going from 0 to less than 5, 5 to 10, etc. Right, now I know I'm going to be messy with this, but we'll do the best we can. So for our first classification, the frequency is 3. So we go up to 3, and that's our first column there. For our second classification, 5 to 9 goes up to 7. So there's 6, 7 is just a little bit higher. Crooked. There's 7. You would, of course, use a ruler and be very accurate. 10 to 15, or 10 to under 15, is 15. So we're going way up here. From 15 to 19, I have 19 people, hours, so that goes down there, and 20 to 25 is back to 6 again. So there's my frequency histogram for my data on hamburger sales in a 50-hour period. Okay, so we've done part B. Let's answer a few questions. How many hours did the fast food store sell fewer than 10 hamburgers? Okay, so here's my number of hamburgers. I want to know how many hours fell into these categories here that are less than 10. So I've got 3 hours there and 6 hours there. Well, actually 3 hours there and 7 hours there if I go by the table. So the answer is 10 hours. How many hours did the fast food store sell at least 15 hamburgers? Well, that means I want to know 15 hamburgers or more. Which hours were 15 hamburgers or more sold? So I need to look at this column here and this column here. So that's 19 and that's 6, so 25 hours. And that's half of their time. That's pretty jolly good. Okay, your exercises for this are exercise 9I, do even numbered questions up to and including question 10. Have fun.